Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, I have stories involving both phantom airplanes, possibly alien or other folks, and an encounter once again with the Chicago Mothman. Let's get into the first account we have here. Silent 747 over El Paso, Texas, low-flying airliner passes twice without a sound. And read exactly what happened, folks. Maybe it's a glitch in the Matrix as well. I don't know. Let's read on. A witness living in El Paso, Texas, reported an encounter so unnerving that it defies conventional aviation physics. On two separate nights around midnight, a full-sized commercial airliner descended low over a residential neighborhood near the Mexican border and made absolutely no sound. What should have been deafening instead became one of the most unsettling silent events the witness has ever experienced. Was it an experimental aircraft, an atmospheric anomaly, or something far stranger? Let's read on, folks. The experiencer had been staying in El Paso for several months in a residential area bordered by stone walls and open desert overlooking the Mexican border. From the backyard, the view extended for miles. The witness was familiar with the normal air traffic in the area. Border Patrol helicopters frequently passed over the desert, and commercial jets adhered to established flight corridors further north. In 4 months, no commercial planes had ever flown low over that neighborhood. Around midnight one evening, while outside smoking, the witness observed strange lights approaching low from the horizon. At first, the movement was startling enough that she called her partner to the sliding glass door. As the object approached, it appeared to be a commercial airliner with standard blinking navigation lights. She dismissed her concern, assuming it was simply a low-flying plane. But the aircraft continued descending. Within minutes, it was flying directly over nearby houses. The witness estimated it was no more than 300 feet above ground level. It was so close that she could clearly see the landing gear and the seams in the fuselage. Even without wearing her glasses, the aircraft passed directly overhead. She braced for impact. A commercial jet at that altitude should produce overwhelming engine roar and vibration. Instead, there was nothing. No engine noise, no wind displacement, no echo, no sonic delay. Complete silence. The aircraft passed beyond a patch of trees and vanished from view. There was no crash, no climb, no deviation, no news reports the next day. 2 nights later, the identical event occurred again. Same direction, same path, same altitude, same silence. The witness states she can hear aircraft at much higher altitudes on a routine basis. These planes were far closer, yet made no sound whatsoever. The silence was described as physically wrong. She remains certain she was not imagining it, and emphasizes that the aircraft's detail and scale were unmistakable. So what did our witness see here, folks? Was it perhaps some sort of, maybe, temporal displacement? A glitch in the Matrix, folks? If it were some sort of temporal displacement, basically maybe the same event observed with basically just the physical aspect alone, but no actual physical reaction on reality, like basically she saw an image but no, sound, that could make sense. But it could also be some sort of glitch in the Matrix. Supposing the universe really is some sort of simulation, and what this woman saw was akin to some sort of, phenomena where basically the Matrix replayed the same footage over again, but with no sound absolutely in both accounts. Basically like a kind of event that you see from the Matrix movies, where they would basically see and have deja vu, which is what they basically described it when they saw the same event twice. But this time, unlike those events, there was no sound in it. So are we living in some sort of simulation, or was this a sign of some sort of top secret military aircraft that produces no sound, folks? Or could it have been maybe something more spiritual? Some sort of ghost? I don't know. Either way, folks, let's move on to the next article. Giant chicken-like tracks and Birdman rumors near 63rd and Pulsalka, Chicago residents sense cover-up. Yeah, they saw some weird creatures there, folks. A Birdman that had and left bird-like tracks, and they think that maybe the authorities are covering up, folks. So could it be alien or more supernatural? Let's read on. In late February through April 2020, residents near 63rd Street and South Pasalka Road in Chicago quietly began whispering about something stalking their backyards at night. Reports of big chicken-like footprints in the snow surfaced just weeks after a nearby sighting of a 6-foot-tall black Birdman. What followed has remained unresolved, and for some in the neighborhood, deeply unsettling. I would say so, folks, because sightings of a big Birdman is certainly grounds for being completely scared of your witch, folks. But let's read on. I never expected something like this to surface so close to home. In April 2020, I contacted investigators because of what my mother's friend and her neighbors were experiencing near 63rd Street and South Pasalka Road in Chicago. Word had been spreading through the block that something large had been appearing in the backyards at night. People were whispering about a Mothman presence. At first, I assumed it was just urban legend talk, but then the footprints were found. Neighbors described them as big chicken-like tracks pressed deep into the snow behind their homes. Not small bird prints, not scattered impressions, large, distinct, and deliberate. In my mother's friend's yard, the tracks reportedly crossed through the snow as though something heavy had landed and then moved on foot. Yeah, something airborne landed, folks, with enough force to leave these prints in the ground. And apparently that is pretty terrifying, folks, because as you can see from the picture here, this does look like it was a bird-like entity. So unless these are actually, fakes, well, I mean, they're not actual tracks, folks, but it gives you an idea of exactly what we've seen. If these tracks are real, folks, then they're of something truly powerful. But let's read on, folks. She was frightened enough to call law enforcement. Detectives arrived, photographed the impressions, and according to her account, quickly removed or erased the evidence. She and others in the area were left with the impression that whatever was happening was not meant to be discussed publicly. Some neighbors warned each other not to go outside at night when the thing appeared. There were even rumors circulating about disappearances, though none were directly tied to the tracks. The atmosphere in the neighborhood shifted. People stayed indoors after dark. Conversations were lowered. The prevailing feeling was that authorities were aware of something unusual but unwilling to acknowledge it. So, could this be directly tied to the government, folks? That they're basically telling local authorities, the police, they're not to discuss this, and all evidence was to be destroyed? Perhaps these orders came directly from the mayor, or maybe the governor of Illinois, folks, or even higher. Perhaps this has something to do with the so-called shadow government and who controls information on UFOs and cryptid entities like Mothman, folks. Maybe that's who is basically ordering the police to destroy all evidence. But let's read on again, folks, and see exactly where this article finally ends. I relayed all of this to investigators because it felt too specific, too localized, and too similar to other Chicago winged humanoid reports to ignore. I tried convincing my mother's friend to photograph the tracks herself if they appeared again, but she was too frightened to step outside. Shortly afterward, I was asked if witnesses would be willing to speak directly with investigators. I agreed to reach out to them. I also requested that my name not be publicly associated with the case. The fear in the neighborhood was real. Unfortunately, communication stopped there. No further updates were received, but the story did not exist in isolation. Indeed, folks, because other people are seeing Mothman all over Chicago and the O'Hare International Airport in Illinois, folks. So something is going on in that city and beyond. Why are these entities there, folks? And much like with the first account of this phantom airplane that made no sound, folks, that appeared on 2 nights, people are seeing these things, but they can't explain exactly what's going on. The authorities also seem to know more than they're letting on, folks, and perhaps are destroying evidence and want the public not to know anything about what is actually going on, both in Chicago and, as I said, all throughout the United States, folks. I would imagine the same could go for the rest of the world as well, folks. Who is hiding this evidence? Why doesn't the government want us to know anything at all to do with basically UFOs, aliens, and cryptids? Are they perhaps, maybe they're under the impression that this is for the best? Perhaps these entities, like Mothman and even Bigfoot, are actually intelligent beings, and they work with each other, and there's a working relationship with the governments of the world, folks, that they would keep all evidence of them hidden? Maybe that's why no real proof of both these phantom airplanes and other phenomena like Mothman, Bigfoot, and others are ever proven to be real, folks. Perhaps that is the real, case when basically we discuss all of this. But now we're at the end, folks, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad For You. You can use the YouTube link down below in descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure at the part of the bell they'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video. So be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.